but I hear you. Yeah. I got you.
Sit still.
I got you. I'm nervous, Dallas. You make me nervous.
No. Aw. All right. Well, Campbell Cobb.
Yes.
Odyssey Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. Team captain, apparently, of Atlanta Submission Series.
Mm-hmm.
Freshly found that out. Well, thank you for this.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
I'm going to beat the other people to the jump and put this up like Wednesday. Beat them. So this is
Perfect.
your first.
I love it.
So,
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Got to be number one. But anyways, one of my favorite Odyssey instructors.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming to my class. It's been awesome to see that Tuesday and Thursday afternoon block grow. Really blessed. A lot of really good guys.
Dude, I think it's cool. I like the way, I don't know what it is. The way you teach is just shit that is super applicable to like what I like to play. And it's super like,
yeah,
it's easy to incorporate. It's not like, okay, now I've got to start playing fucking whatever. I've got to start playing K-guard so I can implement this thing that I like that is cool. It's like, well, I'm already going to be there, so I can just
my big thing is just I want people to have fun when they do jiu-jitsu. There's this good guy named Majid Hogg, and he trains out at Surf Fight under Jeff Glover.
Okay.
And his motto is nobody has more fun than him. And it's so evident when he does jiu-jitsu that he just enjoys it so much. So obviously I want the techniques to be efficient. But what I think mostly what you see in that afternoon class is I want it to be like a cool technique. Like obviously, yes, we can drill the knee lever sweep from half guard and just do that. It's a very efficient sweep. But like I would much prefer to like give people something that not only that like works for them, but they also enjoy doing, because jiu-jitsu ultimately I think is about having fun. So
yeah, it makes it a hell of a lot more fun. You're like, oh, cool. Okay, I can actually hit this shit from like wherever.
Exactly.
And then it's, do some disrespectful shit to someone.
Exactly. Always. But jiu-jitsu doesn't work. So
no, jiu-jitsu doesn't. Dude, I saw some guy on, what was it? I think it was on TikTok, and it was some guy, and he was sitting there talking. He was like, jiu-jitsu don't work in a street fight. What are you going to do? Take your shoes off and then go put your spin? And he's like, and he was sitting there like in a jacket. And I'm like, dog, someone will strangle you with that jacket before you know what happened.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like the old culture, like in jiu-jitsu gyms, you had like the gym challenges occurring where like random people would just like walk into Hickson's gym and challenge him, and he would have them like sign a contract and then he would record it, but he wouldn't release those. Yeah, he'd just beat them up. And it's, thankfully we don't live in that time anymore, but like,
it'd be kind of fun if we did.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone walked in and just walked up to Greg and was like, hey, I want to fight someone here. And he went, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Campbell, you want to fight this guy real quick? And the guy's like, yeah, dude, I'm fucking undefeated in the streets. And you're like, oh, you are? That's cute.
Yeah. That street moniker is just so interesting. Like from people, and it, like, what is a street fight? What constitutes a street fight? Like, you get in a little shoving match with someone. Is that a street fight? Like, it's just so hilarious to me when people start talking like that.
Yeah, half the time. The thing that's stupid is like half the time in a street fight, it's not going to be one-on-one. Someone's going to have a beer bottle in their hand, and it's like, whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, then now we're just at the point of everyone needs to be walking around with their firearm drawn at all times in order to be ready for the streets. And you're like, what are we talking about?
I think another misconception specifically about like jiu-jitsu black belts and people that hold black belts in martial arts is that they like don't carry like weapons to defend themselves. And the reality is like, you know, I see Professor Brandon, I see some of the guys like at Alliance, I see like, and the reality is like nowadays, man, if you mess with somebody, they're just going to shoot you. And like,
and that's going to be,
that's the reality of the situation. You can do as much jiu-jitsu as you want to, but
it's kind of weird when you see like grown men still getting into fights. It's like, hey man, what went wrong? Why are we still doing this?
Yeah, we're trying to live vicarious. Yeah, it's just
like, you're 42, you have a wife. Why are you like bowing up to some random dude in a bar that's life is probably not going great because he's trying to start a bar? It's like, dude, that guy has nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have everything. Like, go home. Go hug your wife.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like, so I don't know if you were there for this, but so Reese at the NFC fight, this happened a while ago, that someone pulled a knife out there and was like trying to stab someone, and thankfully
I was there. It was right. It was right in front of me.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. That's great. Like, especially at these like fighting events, I feel like fights always break out, and it's like, you could not have picked a worse environment because you have a bunch of highly trained individuals, probably a little drunk, because let's be honest. And if tension runs high, there are going to be people there that are going to take care of you right away.
Dude,
so
that fight was nuts. The dude, were you there when that shit popped off?
I left right before that because all the Odyssey guys had already gone with their super fights or whatever, and so I kind of left early.
Dude, it was like me and Austin, and we were sitting up on top. Like there was like an elevated bleacher here.
Oh man.
The cage was over here, and there was like a little walkway underneath us. And right in front of us, it was like a wife and a little kid and like a group of men. I later found out, I think it was like the NFC owner's wife.
Oh my God.
And this dude was like fucked up on something. I don't know what. He wasn't just
That's
drunk.
what I
like,
heard.
He
He
was on something. And he was like trying to get up in her face. And she was like, get the fuck away from me and my kid. There was a group of guys that were. The kid was probably like 13, 14. So like a young teenage boy.
Jeez Louise.
And she's like, get the fuck away from my son. And he's like sitting there like barking at her, whatever. And then all of a sudden he like backs up and does some weird like kung fu thing and like drops down. And then he's like reached for his waistband or something. And me and Austin are like, what? And then he pulls a knife out.
Oh
and
my
dude,
God.
that dude he's lucky the cops showed up. Because
go back to the UK with that knife shit, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The instant that knife came out, about 6 motherfuckers jumped on him. Rear naked choke. Dude tried to Kimura his arm, started trying to break the knife out. And then the cops literally showed up. It took them like 5 minutes to break the whole thing up. They like interrupted the fights in the cage. The cops, I think, tased him twice.
Really?
Dude, when he got carried out, he looked like he was in
dire straits,
rough shape. But also, don't start fights.
Deserved. Yeah, you could have. There's so much. It's
a valuable lesson.
Yeah, very valuable lesson.
Hey, don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't bring a knife to a room full of people that know how to fight.
You could institute some sort of street fight thing against all those people that you pissed off on that TikTok of mine.
Oh my gosh, man. And guys, let us know in the comments if you've seen the video. Like, I thought I was clearly being facetious. And there are people that are like, this guy is a psychopath who enjoys hurting people. He's a serial
killer. This guy wasn't loved as a child. Dude, that's the internet.
I'm like every day going in to teach kids class, getting choked out by the kids that I teach who are honestly the people that, those are the ones you got to watch out for because they've been training just as long as I. Yeah. No, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane. But yeah, there's people that got like genuinely triggered by that. I don't have a problem with it because it's been great for engagement and stuff like that. So I don't really have an issue. TikTok brand. Yeah, I don't really have an issue with it. But it was kind of eye-opening to kind of see like, wow, there are people that will just like, dude, there's a guy from a Gracie bar in Washington, D.C. that was like, I've gone to, like, not even I've won Europeans. I went to Europeans in the gi. I'm 215 pounds and I could kick your butt. Like, just DMs me out of nowhere from that. And I'm like, first of all, of course you train at a Gracie bar. But no, but
first off, that tracks.
I was like, this all makes sense. But like, I was just shocked because I was like, wow, like there's literally just people on the internet that have nothing better to do than just like talk shit for no reason about someone that they don't really know. But
it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they'll sit there and they'll start imposing like what they thought in their head prior to the video onto what you said. They'll start like putting words in your mouth and they're like, you said this and this and this. And you're like,
it's like, no.
Buddy, no, comprehension skills lacking.
Yeah, exactly.
No child left behind. Found one. Yeah. Found one.
Exactly. Yeah. But that was my kind of first experience with that. So yeah.
I'm going to do more of those. I want to do more at Odyssey.
Yeah. No, we got some characters. I always say to people, I'm like, I love doing jiu-jitsu. I love doing the moves. It's all great. But the meat and potatoes of jiu-jitsu have always been the people. And I think Odyssey is a testament to that. The people that are there. We just have so many different characters. And it's just so awesome to be in there and interact with everybody. It's fun.
It's weird because you have to have a certain type of screw loose to do jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And so, but you find people from all walks of life that have the same screw or screws loose. Yeah. You have Danye, and then you have Brady, and then you have Eldon, and then you have you and Jared and Dan, like.
And it's super interesting to hear kind of how, like, so at the promotion, the night that I got my purple belt, that I kind of promoted everybody, it was really, really interesting to kind of hear a lot of the speeches of the blue belts as they were getting their belt, because they were talking about like how they got into it. Some of them, it was like a drunken bet. Some of them, it was like a real, like, mindful like step towards like self-improvement and like bettering their physical health. But it's just so interesting to hear how people can come from so far from either side of the spectrum for the same thing, because like you said, we do all have that screw loose. It just kind of gets banged loose differently for everyone. And it's kind of interesting to hear how it happens for everyone.
Why'd you start?
So, oh man. So before I was a jiu-jitsu guy, I was a theater kid. I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana. I was in show choir. I was in a show choir called the North Central Counterpoints. And I did musical theater. I did regular theater. I did all of these things. And I had done Taekwondo when I was much younger. I had won like a Taekwondo tournament or whatever. You know, it's not, I watched Kung Fu Panda like 5 times the week of the tournament, and I was ready to go. So I got into it because I met this kid transferred to my high school, North Central High School. I think it would have been my sophomore year, and his name was Ethan Holder. He's this little Korean kid. And first of all, he's probably, you know, one of the best friends that I've made, but he was just this little Korean dude. And one day we were down in his basement and he was just like, do you want to do this like jujitsu thing? And, you know, I had always been like, you know, I liked, you know, wrestling around with people, doing all that, you know, putting gloves on, whatever. And so I'm like, sure, dude, let's go. And he beat the crap out of me. And I ended up that night, he had jujitsu class and he was not going to go because I was hanging out, but I was like, bro, like we should go. Like I want to learn. And I instantly fell in love with it, got addicted. And long story short, I couldn't really start training right then because show choir, specifically in Indiana, is like, it's a very, very like, it's a lot of practice. It's like multiple hours of like not only learning the vocal numbers, but also like dancing and syncing that up, and how are you controlling your breath when you're singing versus dancing, and like a bunch of different choreography things and stuff like that. So I would literally be at practice for like 3 hours every day after school, and then on the weekends I would have show choir like competitions from about like 7 in the morning to 2 in the morning. And so I couldn't really train. So basically I'm doing show choir and theater sophomore year, junior year, and then COVID happens. And my parents have a conversation with me.
You were a junior in high school when COVID happened?
So it would have been yes.
God
it would have been, So it would have been like the second semester of my junior year when all of that started happening.
Okay.
And so my parents had a conversation with me that summer. They were like, hey, we're thinking about moving back to Georgia. My parents are here. Health was declining. So, and they asked me because it would have been my senior year. So it was really weird because I think a lot of other people would have chosen to stay in Indiana just because you're going into your senior year of high school. You already have a pre-existing community of people. I was already kind of, you know, I had a lot of connection there. And so, but there was something in me that was like, there is something, like you've been preparing for this next thing that is going to happen to you. And that next thing that's going to happen to you is going to happen to you in Georgia. So you need to go to Georgia. And so I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. Like, let's move. And so I went to Campbell High School my senior year. And basically because there was online school, I would literally go train in the morning, leave my like computer on the mat or whatever, like I was taking class with my camera off, and I would just train twice a day. And I started at X3 under Rodrigo Artilheiro, who is this ginormous Brazilian dude. He's like 6'5". He used to wrestle as an alternate on the Brazilian Olympic team, and he also did judo. He was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil.
You can move the arm, like, but if you want to lean back, just pull it. Yeah.
And he was Vitor Belfort's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. And like he puts Fabricio Verdum in a triangle, like on the show. So he's really cool. Did that for a while and then kind of was like, okay, like there's another level to this that I want to chase. And so I was, you know, I'm a nerd. So I go lineage. I'm like, who has the best lineage in the state of Georgia? And I go online and I see John Danaher and Marcelo Garcia with Professor Brand Bennett and Greg. And I got to Odyssey the week Brandon did his Bermuda seminar. So I came to the New Breed tournament at the end of the week. So I went to the seminar on Friday, and then there was a New Breed that Saturday.
Was that 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been there ever since. I'm going full time with the kids program. Like that's a more recent thing. I'm like really focusing on that there. But yeah, I love it there. Looking forward to representing them at the highest level, and that's kind of how I got into jiu-jitsu.
That's what got you into teaching, just like the continuation of the nerding out on it.
So I had always been the type of person, and I grew this specifically with one of my partners at X3 when I was first starting. His name is Scott, and he moved to Colorado like right before I would have changed gyms from X3 to Odyssey. But we had like a very open dialogue whenever we trained. So like whenever we were drilling or whenever we were sparring, like whenever there was a break or if we were drilling, we would always really like talk through the techniques with each other. And jiu-jitsu is something that does come a little bit more naturally to me. So I would kind of assist in some manner. And eventually some people would come ask me questions. I go to Odyssey. I'm doing like barambolos and stuff, which was like not really the style of what the people at Odyssey were doing. And I actually met Shub.
Yeah.
And he wanted to learn all that stuff. So I just kind of started like answering people's questions and showing them techniques. I have an interesting style where I do like a lot of like weird stuff. So
you can say shit.
Yeah.
Say whatever the fuck you want to say.
So people, will ask me about that. And so it kind of started there. I told Greg that I wanted to help out with the kids program. Ended up taking kind of a more active role doing that. The program's grown from about 12 to I think we're at 39
Holy
now.
shit.
And so started with kids, and then I had a conversation with Greg. I was like, hey, I would love to start teaching adults. And Greg was like, okay, you're going to be the no-gi coach during the week for our afternoon sessions. And so, yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays. That group started out as like 3 people. It was like me, Ty, and I'm forgetting the other 2 people that are there at the beginning, but now there's like, 8 to 12 people there, and it's awesome. I love it. I love teaching adults, and I know that like down the line, the goal is to like either, run another Odyssey, run my own gym, whatever the case may be. I'm definitely going to be sticking around teaching jiu-jitsu for a long time. So
what's the hardest part about teaching kids jiu-jitsu?
So I'm going to answer that question, and then I'm going to talk about the difference between teaching kids and adults, because it's extremely interesting. But the hardest thing about teaching a kid is that a kid is going to do exactly what you tell them because they trust you. So they trust that what you're telling them to do is correct. The thing about kids is it's all about the language that you use to impart the technique. So every kid is different. So the language that I have to use typically is going to change kid to kid. So the hardest thing about teaching a kid off the bat is figuring out their language. Because I think a lot of teachers, they have this penchant to kind of teach the way they want to teach. They want to teach what they want to hear.
Or how they would want to learn.
Exactly. And as a teacher, that is not your job. So for kids, as you grow to kind of, as you get to know them better and you start to figure that language out, the hardest part is just figuring out that language. So once you figure the language out, teaching kids becomes exponentially easier than teaching adults, because you have to get an adult to trust you, because you teach a kid how to move, you teach an adult why, if that makes sense. So adults are very, very fixated on, why am I doing this? Because they're an adult. They're independent. They make their own decisions. And so an adult is never really going to ask you, like, once they see you teach a technique, they're going to see how you do it. That's not what they're going to fixate on. The questions an adult is going to ask you about a technique is going to be centered around why you're doing it, why you would do the move in a specific scenario. Versus a kid, it's all about teaching them how, because they trust that you know why. Does that make sense?
They're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to simply execute what he tells me.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
And that's the thing about like what you see with like Philip and Hansel, and I have this kid Jackson, is that they can do pretty much any move in jiu-jitsu at this point. Like they are developed enough to where as long as I like show the move appropriately, they're going to be able to do it, whether it's like a complex inversion into a legs. Like Philip and Jackson are starting to do leg locks now. Like they're starting to do ankle locks and stuff like that.
Jackson's that kid that's been taking the adult class every night?
Yeah. And so like the thing that I'll never run into with them is like that like why question, because they're just like, no, like this is versus an adult. It's much more like I have to convince you that like I know what I'm talking about. There's a reason why we're doing this.
Convince them that you're not full of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but that is kind of something that does make it a little bit more difficult versus teaching a kid.
When you were talking about the language of teaching a kid, like are there like particular silos that you've seen? Like this kid kind of falls more into this category, or is it literally every single kid has their own particular
so I mean
best with?
So there's some generalization where like they're just like broad themes that you need to stick to when you're like talking to a child, like enthusiasm. That's a big one. Like you have to be enthusiastic when you talk to a kid, because if you're not having fun, then the kid's going to be like, well, why the hell aren't we here? Like if you're not having fun, I'm not going to have fun because what you're teaching isn't fun. So that is huge. Like that by itself will further your ability to teach kids 100-fold, is just actually having fun yourself. So putting in the work with the lesson plans to where you are actually having fun doing whatever you're doing, and showing that in your tone. So there are like broad themes like that, enthusiasm, enforcing respect. So a big thing is I call all of my kids sir and ma'am, just like I expect them to call me that, because what I tell them is that respect is not a power dynamic thing. Respect is just, it's something
it's a mutual.
It's something that we give to human beings in general. And so like there things like that, very general. But for some kids, there are other things that you have to change kid to kid. So for example, I have a kid named Josiah who literally had, like, I was talking earlier about the guy who has that phrase, like, nobody has more fun than me. Every time Josiah competes before he goes into a match, I give him a fist bump and I say, nobody has more fun than us, because he is just so full of joy whenever he is doing anything that's kind of just like, that's our phrase that we have. But when I'm teaching him, it's about how do we use that joy of learning, that joy of being there in the moment? How do we use that without letting it get too far, kind of like before it snowballs too much and now it's interfering with his ability to pay attention? So the language that I use with Josiah, like Josiah doesn't need as much encouragement as another kid, because he's already so full of joy and happiness. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to motivate Josiah and support him with my language. But for him, the way that I'm going to talk to him, it's going to be much more centered around forcing him to be mindful. So for him, it might be more of like why questions and stuff like that. Like, so why are you putting your foot there? Like, what's the reason that you hook your foot here as opposed to there? For him. Now, if I were to do that to another kid, that might overwhelm them because it's too much information for them. But for him, questions like this, it forces him to focus.
I was going to say, you're more concerned about, the way it sounds to me, you're more concerned about tempering or like keeping the reins on the enthusiasm.
Exactly. Versus a kid like Hansel. Hansel is laser focused. He's locked in. Competitions, my catchphrase with Hansel is, you're the man. Fist bump, he goes in, does work, submits the kid, whatever. Yeah. Because that's who he is. He's very focused. He's very passionate. For him, it is about getting him to have fun, Because he's sitting there like so much. He's like, he's like, he's so dialed in and so focused that it is for him more about encouraging him, taking him out. Great job. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't. It's not that I don't encourage Josiah that way. I do, but it's about tempering the metal. It's about guiding that energy so that they're doing the best that they can at whatever they're doing. So there are like those broad things that we talked about, like respect and enthusiasm, and then there are those other things that it's more about reading the energy of the child and stuff like that. And that's why it's so important to have assistants and instructors, and enough of them to where no kid is getting left kind of out of the equation.
Yeah,
because
they're all getting something.
Yes, they need that one-on-one attention. They need that, that very purposeful kind of mentoring and guidance, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu, because it's like they're doing submissions, they're doing,
Yeah. Did you ever play sports growing up, or were you just a theater kid?
So that's the thing. I've kind of always done a lot of stuff. So I played soccer for a while, and I love soccer. I still play soccer. I watch soccer. Been getting into pickleball. But
out.
Yeah.
Door. That's disgusting.
But grew up in Indiana in the Midwest, so like always playing backyard basketball, like always,
I was thinking, it's like, okay, what, like, do you take experiences you had with your coaches and thinking, okay, that's what this guy did well. This guy could have done this worse.
100%.
Yeah.
So there is and the thing is I didn't even make the soccer team.
Okay.
So North Central Soccer in Indiana, pretty high level.
Mm-hmm.
They're in like that Division I for high school soccer in Indiana. And there's a coach there. His name is Mr. Little. He runs the varsity team. I don't know if he still does. And I have inferred so much from the way he practices with his boys on that field, because he can be such a taskmaster, and like I see him like enforcing practice. They run all the time. At the end of practice, after they're tired, they run. And like I've seen him be like very harsh to people on that team, but like when I was trying out, like the way he encouraged me, I don't even know if he would remember that, but like just watching the way that he would moderate his approach, it was insane to me, because it was like, and it kind of ties into kind of like this whole idea of like there needs to be moderation in all things. Like you can't go too far one way or the other.
Yeah.
But like, I just remember like when I was a kid watching him coach and being like that is a good coach.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I read a book by John Wooden. I don't know if you know who John Wooden is.
Yeah, the basketball coach.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Pyramid of Success.
Okay.
And like he did the same thing. Like he would, like grab players by the ear. Like, a player doesn't bring their jersey. Hey, not only are you not playing today, you need to go walk home, get your jersey, and then come. And then there's also other people that like he understood that there were these, circumstances occurring outside of the purview of the sport. And so he would be, give grace in those moments. So I really do, like what you said, I really do try and learn from every coach in any discipline, because another one of my favorite coaches is Jose Mourinho.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
I love he's a wild man.
Yeah, exactly. And Jurgen Klopp too. He's the coach of Liverpool. But like all of these guys, like you see the ferocity, but you also see like how much they're like passionate for their players, how much they want their players to succeed. And so like that's always been the main thing that stuck out to me about like being a good coach, is that it's not about like how good do I look to other people as a coach. Like some of the best coaches in the world, the way they appear to people outside of like whatever sport it is, like the way they appear to the audience or whatever is horrible, because they're the people that have to do the things that nobody else really wants to do to get the team to function the way that it needs to.
You got to do the unpopular shit so that the unit can function.
But when you talk to the people that are in the circumstance, who are on the team, that's when you know the coach's heart, because they're the ones that understand and see, okay, like, yeah, he was screaming at us last practice about like, we're not in shape enough, we haven't been running enough. But now, like, for this next game, we're going against someone who's extremely physical, who's going to like run up and down the soccer field the whole time. So it's just like stuff like that. Like, if you're there and you're in it, you know why they're doing these things.
They get to see behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The respect thing's interesting. I remember I would have coaches when I was growing up, and they would be sitting there and they're like, I demand respect. And every single one that said that, I was like, oh,
Yeah, no respect.
I'm not going to respect you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're a joke. Like, I remember literally being like 14 or 15, and I had some travel coach that was like, I demand respect, or something. I can't remember who it was. And I was like,
respect is earned,
you're
not
like
given.
40, screaming at a 14-year-old that you demand respect. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, that does not make sense to me.
Yeah, it's earned, not given.
It's wild.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you had to show a kid one move or one sequence in jiu-jitsu to get them started.
Butterfly sweep. Because
that was immediate.
Yeah. And it's in our warm-ups. Like, they literally do, like, we call it the butterfly drill, but it's literally like you're doing a butterfly sweep with no one there. And the reason for that is the butterfly sweep, the movement of it, or, you know, if we're getting nerdy, the sumigeshi in Japanese, right? It is so applicable in so many different scenarios. A butterfly sweep is just like a seated uchimata. Mm-hmm. So there's like mechanics of the butterfly sweep that can be applied to a lot of the throws in judo. You can use the butterfly sweep to get into so many different guards by using the butterfly sweep to force your partner to post, and then you can go into their legs, you can go into their upper body.
Yeah, you do that shit to me all the time. Yeah, it's infuriating.
And the movement of the butterfly sweep, like if you continue the butterfly sweep and you roll over your shoulders, it turns into a Granby roll. So it's like really easy for me to start to like teach mechanics of scrambling through the butterfly sweep. Like, I'm working through with some 4-year-olds right now. So they just learned the butterfly like drill, which is basically like where you get on your elbow and on your head, you get up on your foot, you kick, and then you go back the other way. And they have no idea what they're doing. And then one day I was like, okay, guys, we're going to do this with a partner. Please take your hands, wrap them around them like you're giving them a hug, and then just do the butterfly drill. And now I have a room full of 4 and 5-year-olds who can all do the butterfly sweep perfectly, because they're not stressed out about what they're doing or why they're doing it, because they know how, because they've been practicing the butterfly sweep on their own for, 2 weeks. And so, yeah, the butterfly sweep, 100%.
The most insane neuroplasticity ever. So they look at it one time and they're like, okay, it has been downloaded and saved forever.
The scary thing is that, so I do this thing with my kids where I allow them to make up their own sequences, and then at the end of class, they show everyone. And the stuff that the kids come up with is like, it's like, how did you, like, that's a move in jiu-jitsu, but you've never learned that. And you're just like applying concepts that you don't even know are concepts. Like, I had a kid, so we were doing butterfly drill, and he was like, okay, I start the butterfly sweep, my partner posts their hand, so I can swing my leg over and put them into a triangle choke. And it's like, they are understanding the concept of attacking a post, because they get that if they go for a butterfly sweep and someone puts their hand on the ground, they can just throw. Exactly. But it's
Holy shit.
And so when that happens, I have to like curb my excitement and enthusiasm, because I'm going to start going like, well, it's technically a dilemma. So like there's, and
then the kid's like, I just thought it was cool because I strangled him.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it is like walking on pins and needles when that happens, because it's like, you're going to be so much better than me when you're my age. The fact that you're thinking this way at such a young age, it's insane.
The thing that was always crazy to me, I remember telling Dan this, because me and Dan started like right about the same time at Odyssey. Like, he was obviously been training a little bit longer. I was like, it's insane to me that in this sport, there are people that start training at like 15, 16, and they become world champions. I was like, that does not compute to me, because my entire background is Western sports, where it's, okay, football, baseball, right? Soccer, basketball, hockey. Nobody, except for the 0.00001% can start those sports past the age of 8 or 9
Exactly.
and be worth a shit because you develop so much in those first 4 or 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because your little brain just downloads everything immediately.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, now you take a kid and they start at 4. And by the time they're 8.
Yeah. You have a cold bot. Yeah.
You have a serial killer on your hands.
And that's the other thing about kids, like what you talk about with like how absorbent they are. Like that's why to me as a kids coach, the stakes are so high is because the stuff that I'm teaching them now is going to carry over throughout the rest of their jiu-jitsu journey because all their mechanics and their fundamentals are like what's going to stick with them. So like what we talked about earlier with a kid is not going to worry about why. They're just going to worry about how. If you teach the how wrong, that kid is screwed.
Because now they have bad habits.
Exactly.
And it's a bitch to unlearn bad habits.
Yeah, especially if you're a kid.
Yeah. I did that with baseball. I picked up some bad habits, like pitching wise as like a young kid. And I literally was like fighting those for the rest of my time playing baseball.
It's crazy.
The neuroplasticity thing is insane. I was listening to, I think it was Hikaru Nakamura, if you know who that is.
No.
He's a chess grandmaster.
Okay.
He was talking.
Actually, I do know who that is.
He's a streamer. He's like a big streamer now. He's like the number 2 chess player in the world. And
Magnus, right?
If Magnus Carlsen wasn't alive, he'd be the greatest player alive. And he was talking about it, or maybe it was him or Gotham Chess. They were basically saying if you start chess past the age of 6, you'll never be a grandmaster. Like it's not going to happen. 6, 8 years old because the neuroplasticity, like how much you have to learn and digest at like that age, you'll never get to that level. And jiu-jitsu is like 6 years away from that, where it's like, oh, you're starting at 16. That's cute. This kid 16 has been doing this for 12 years.
It's insane.
Like,
and the interesting thing about jiu-jitsu too is that like because like the human body can do so many different things. Like there's too much information for you to know it all. So in jiu-jitsu, it's just about figuring out what information is the most prevalent to you based off of what you're capable of. But the reality is there's so many different people that are capable of so many different things that you have to be prepared to deal with such a wide array of skills. And that's not even really like at the black belt level. Like the blue belt IBJJF, like the people competing in that right now, it's insane. And it's crazy, like you said, how far the sport has come from as soon as technology and digital instructionals like became a thing in jiu-jitsu, I feel like the skill has just been going up through the roof because now I can learn anywhere. Like I don't need to be at a gym to learn how to do an extremely high level move.
Dude, I got my legs fucking ripped apart by a bunch of dudes in Argentina.
Yeah.
Because I was going down there and like everything that I had seen was like, yeah, fucking, Brazilians don't play legs. And so I'm like, well, if Brazilians don't play legs, naturally no Argentine's going to play legs because they're probably drawing a lot from the Brazilians because they're neighbors with the Brazilian, whatever. Yeah. Dude, I went down there. Every single person I rolled with was grabbing my legs. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And at the end of class, I was talking to this guy. His name was Timur. He's a big Russian dude. He goes, brother, we download all Danaher instructional. And they just literally had all pirated all the Danaher shit, all the Gordon shit. And they sat down there and just like ran through all of these things. And that's like what their class structure was. It's insane.
And I'm telling you, there is a kid that's out on a mountain somewhere who... And that's the other thing. I was talking to Robert Deagle about this. So for those of you who don't know who Robert Deagle is one of our Professor Brandon's students. He's a black belt. He's a very established leg locker. Has competed a lot. And he was telling me that if you don't live in the United States around Orange County or Texas, you don't really exist to the jiu-jitsu community. Because the reality is if you don't train at one of the main gyms, like no one knows who you are because Flow doesn't capture any of that stuff. And so like Robert Deagle has told me about like so many of these guys. Like there's this dude Gerbeg who just won 66 kilogram European trials.
Okay.
Nobody knew who this guy was. Robert Deagle's like, I've known this guy for a long time. Like this guy's well established in his community, like has been practicing for a very long time. And there's so many grapplers like that who just because they don't really have the ability to grapple in front of a large audience, no one knows about them, but they're absolutely nasty. And that's what I love about watching like the European trials and the Asian trials for ADCC is there are people out there that nobody knows about that are putting the work in that can do jiu-jitsu at an extremely high level. And it's going to be really interesting to see ADCC this year because a lot of the main guys have gone to CJI. And so it's been filled with a lot of the trials winners who are a lot of people that no one really knows about. And it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how the new guard competes with the old guard. It'll be very interesting.
I was looking at the CJI brackets with Dan. The under 80 is stacked.
It
the
is
over
the
80 looks
bracket.
like Nicky Rod and what's his name? Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
There was a couple dudes in there that are just wrestlers.
Luke Rockhold. Although I'm going to be honest with you, man, I was watching Luke Rockhold grapple with Craig Jones on the most recent, like Craig just released the vlog this morning of like them oil wrestling or whatever. But there's like some training stuff in there.
Okay.
And Rockhold has very good grappling. I was shocked. Like he was kicking out of leg locks. He was scrambling. I mean, he's always had good wrestling, like from MMA and stuff like that. But
I saw that there's some dudes in there that aren't even jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah,
they're just
like
wrestlers.
Jason Nolf. Although they just grabbed the #1 wrestler in the country. I think that's who you're talking about, the African American gentleman. But
and I was like, what are they gonna do when someone grabs their foot?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is there's not very many, like when you look at it, there's not very many like straight up leg lockers in that, to my knowledge at least, in that over 80 kilogram division. There's guys that have good leg locks, but I don't know if but like William Tackett's in that over 80 and he's going to be really undersized, but like I love his style. Matches up really well. Either way, I mean, I think it's going to just be awesome to watch as a nerd who's really into the sport and is going to watch both events for sure.
Come back here. Over 80. Nicky Rod, Yao Gabriel Rocha, Victor Hugo, Mason Fowler, Adam Bradley, Ignacio Santos, Owen Livesey.
Yeah, Owen Livesey. Yeah, he's from Gracie Hole.
He's a catch wrestling world champ.
Yeah, judo, black belt.
Felipe Andrew.
He's a Six Blades guy. Or no, he's not Felipe Andrew.
Mex Jimenez, Luke Rockhold, William Tackett, Pat Downey.
Yeah,
Daniel Kirkliet.
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali. Pedro Alex and Kyle Boehm.
Yeah, so Kyle Boehm actually has really good leg locks. So that is definitely one where, like, if a wrestler goes with him, that is a big guy who plays really well off his back, would definitely have a problem with that. But aside from that, I don't really, like, stylistically, there's no one that I'm like, okay, like, this person is just going to be able to just walk right through.
Yeah.
Mason Fowler, I didn't know he was in that division. I think there's a high probability Mason Fowler wins.
You think he's better than Nicky Rod?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how this rule set plays into things because it's the 3 rounds, just like karate combat. Yeah. It's 3, like, I don't know exactly what the time is. I want to say it's like around 5 to 6 minutes, but it's like 3 rounds, and it's like you either win by submission or it's like best 2 out of 3, kind of like MMA, like scoring.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. So yeah, that over it's going to be interesting watching that over 80, but I'm going to be honest with you, that the under 80 division is probably the greatest bracket in the history of jiu-jitsu potentially. I mean, there's just like so many people that could win and that are amazing.
Yeah.
So
I've got one more question back to the technique thing before I forget about this. You said you'd show a butterfly sweep to a kid if you wanted to get them hooked. Mm-hmm. Would you show an adult a different technique?
No.
You would show an adult a butterfly sweep just the same?
I'm telling you this.
If you were to, okay, me and you are having a conversation. I've never trained before. You're like, going full jiu-jitsu salesman, and you're like, no. You have to try jiu-jitsu. Look at this. You're showing me a butterfly sweep.
Okay. So if I'm going to be a salesman and we're talking shock and awe, then I'm just going to ask you to roll with me and I'm going to put you in a buggy choke, because everyone, once they get put in a buggy choke, they're like, what the hell just happened to me?
Okay.
So there's like, I mean, I guess I would, like, if I wanted them to
That's a clip, by the way. Clip that.
if I wanted someone to be like, whoa, like, that's really weird, like, I might show them like a really niche move like that. But I guess I'd probably show an adult like a triangle choke, because it's like the epitome kind of like skill over attribute. Like, it doesn't matter how strong the person in the triangle is. Like, if you mitigate their defense, it's like very easy to control them, submit them. You can move to other positions from it.
Or just show them a Mikey Musumeci match.
Yeah.
Of him fighting some
I have no
gorilla.
idea. He's like, I feel like there's been like a mentality shift, and I don't know if it's, you know, he's trying to make more money and have like a, you know, a bigger personality or whatever. But he's been talking so much shit recently. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude, you got to talk shit if you want to get paid in jiu-jitsu.
I know.
Jiu-jitsu's a broke sport. You got to get eyeballs on you. No,
you're right. Hey, listen, you're right. But it's crazy. It's insane to me. He's the bully hunter. I love it.
Rule number 1 is don't die.
Yeah, exactly.
Rule number 2, talk shit.
Exactly.
That's like the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, though. You were saying like the grapplers in the middle of nowhere. That's only going to get.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's only going to get worse, too, because you're going to have Starlink and all this shit where it's like you could literally be on a mountaintop in Chechnya, like not even in a big town, and you and 6 of your buddies are just sitting there fucking around, and like you all know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
You've probably watched them do their fucking Iranian wrestling or whatever the fuck you watch.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is like in a lot of countries, they do martial arts for like their physical education. Like in Japan, they do judo, you know? And so, like my big thing is it's the wrestlers. Like as soon as you find a wrestler like who in the mountains of like Eurasia or you know
up in the fucking Caucasus,
who's like, okay, I'm just gonna watch Eddie Cummings, Pato, and Gordon Ryan, and I'm just gonna learn seated and supine guard.
And now I can wrestle fuck you on the feet.
And now guess what, buddy? If I get on top of you, good luck.
Yeah, you're not
trying to sweep me and keep me down. Because that's the thing too with these wrestlers, man. There's this dude named Adrian who comes to open mats on Sundays. He's a wrestler.
Okay.
This guy, it does not matter if you put him down, like if you sweep him, because his ability to scramble, he's just going to get right back up again. And there's nothing you can do to keep him from getting back up. So like, now imagine like an actual like Olympic quality caliber
Jordan
wrestler,
Burroughs.
Exactly, who is like, okay, I would like to be extremely well versed in supine and seated guard. That is a nightmare because as soon as they get on top of you, it's done. You have to submit them off your back,
and you can't stay on top of them
because
they're going to scramble.
Good luck. Yeah, you better have good headlocks.
I was going to say, now you're literally just playing a front headlock over and over and over again.
With a wrestler who's been doing front headlock scrambles his entire life.
Since he was 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So good luck with that, buddy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Weren't you telling me you watch a bunch of like Iranian wrestling or some crazy shit?
I do, yeah. So all of my like seated and supine like hand fighting that I do is from wrestling.
Okay.
Because it shouldn't be different. Like hand fighting, standing, seated, it doesn't matter.
Hand fighting is hand fighting.
Yeah, exactly. So like the Iranian wrestlers, they use a lot of like these thumb down wrist grips. And so I've just like started using these thumb down wrist grips to underhooks like nonstop. And it's a cheat code. That's the other thing. People that want to do jiu-jitsu and want to watch film, like I would heavily encourage you to examine martial arts outside of jiu-jitsu. Like watch wrestling, watch sambo, watch judo, watch sumo, watch honestly, one that I've been watching recently, it's like it's not Mongolian like oil wrestling, but it's like they're wearing these jackets and they like grab each other and it's a lot of like upper body like throws. But what I've been looking at is their footwork, like the footwork that these guys use to like get hip to hip because they're fighting in these like grassy marshes. So they have to, I'll send you a video.
I was about to say, I was
afterwards.
like, what the fuck?
But like watch all of that stuff because the stuff that everybody's watching is the jiu-jitsu stuff.
They're just watching
so
jiu-jitsu
if you
meta.
can come up with this like hybridized like approach where you're drawing from all of these different things, Aikido too, that's another one. Like if you can start to do that, then you're going to have a very unique approach to jiu-jitsu. I obviously watch a lot of very high-level people. I watch a lot of film. I watch a lot of instructionals. But it's never been my goal to be a copy and paste of Gordon Ryan or one of the guys from the squad. My goal is to have my own unique game. Yeah. Because the reality is if you have a unique game, nobody has prepared for you until they have to fight you. And Keenan Cornelius talks about this. He goes, if you put a black belt in a position that they've never been in before, they're a white belt. That's my entire game. Because once you put someone in a place that they've never been in before, they become very predictable. So like if I had to narrow my jiu-jitsu down to like one system, it's about using skill to put people into positions where they have predictable systems of movement.
I was going to say, because, okay, I'm trying to think this through, but you take a black belt, you put them in a position they've never been in before. It's like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Oh, they're probably going to try and get their back to them. Like, whatever.
I rolled with a black belt. I think he's like a Damian Maya black belt. I think he was like traveling to the gym or whatever. And I rolled with him in the gi. And like, bro, like I can't tell you the last time that I like sat down and like really like trained and drilled in the gi. Mm-hmm. And I just played lapel against him. And it shuts everything down because he's an old school black belt who's never been put in lapel anymore. Shit. And so he's a white belt in lapel.
And you just sit there and you play that game.
Yeah. Exactly. And so the same thing is true like in no-gi. Like, for example, leg locks for a long time were like, not unless you were like one of John Danaher's students or you trained at Unity while Eddie Cummings was at Unity. Like, those are the people that knew leg locks. And then if you were outside of that, you were just kind of, you were shark bait pretty much.
Were trying to catch up.
Exactly.
Playing copy and paste.
Now, leg locks are a lot more developed. There's a lot more people that know how to do them. They know how to play them, but they only know how to play leg locks in these very traditional orthodox positions. And I'm not going to give away too much, but like you see me and Aman, we're doing Bermuda now. And we're playing like these bear trap systems.
I was going to say, y'all are doing weird shit.
Yeah, that no one's really doing. And that's all I'm going to say. Shout out Aman. But it's very interesting to see because when I start putting people into these systems, it's very, very easy to just kind of start funneling them into my game. However I need to. And so when it comes to leg locks, when it comes to a lot of positions, I'm just trying to find enough variation to the point where like it might be like it's a well-established movement, but the way that I do it slightly different.
You get into it a different way.
Exactly.
Whatever, you have some
You're
sort
a white belt.
Variation to it.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, like you were saying, studying all the different ones. I was thinking, like, as you were talking about that, I was thinking how Harry used to post all the time.
Yeah.
On his Instagram story. It was like him watching whatever, some fucking.
He was one of the people that reinforced that for me for sure.
Olympic third place match. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's like 3 a.m. and he's posting this on his story, and you're like,
he sends people videos all the time.
Really?
Random, like at very, like really late at night. Brandon too. Brandon, like, I'll be on Instagram, like scrolling through AOJ's Instagram, scrolling through whatever, and I see that like Brandon's active or whatever, and it's like 3 a.m, and I'm like, this guy is just scouring the internet for like random jiu-jitsu techniques and Wu-Tang edits. And like, that's it. That's all he's doing late at night, He'll send me this video of like, of Henzo like screaming at someone at 3 a.m. And I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like sick.
Yeah. I love it.
That's insane. How often, like, okay, on a daily basis, how much jiu-jitsu studying are you doing?
I mean, I go through seasons. So sometimes.
Okay, in a high season, on a daily basis, how much jiu-jitsu study are you doing?
4 hours.
A day?
Yeah.
7 days a week?
I mean, I've gotten away from doing that just because I do get a little burnt out.
Okay.
Sometimes. But I watch a lot of matches. And then when I'm working through instructionals, I'll like really sit down and go through like hours of instructional content at one time. Just because I have this thing where like in my brain, I can do jujitsu with like seemingly real physics, and I can like picture things in my brain. So like for a lot of people when they do instructionals, they have to like go and they have to like work through it on the mat. I can kind of see something, and then what I'll do is I'll like write down kind of like, okay, I need to test this out, like when I do this live. But like that's how I approach instructionals. So when I do instructionals, I'm going through like until I literally can't remember everything that I've like learned. Because like what I do when I'm doing an instructional is I'll watch like the first chapter or whatever.
Okay.
And then I'll start watching the second chapter. But when I get to the end of the second chapter, I'm going to go back in my brain and my notes. And if I can't describe the techniques perfectly as I've written them out in the thing, I know I'm done because I can't perfectly remember.
And you do that like continuously. So then at the end of chapter 3, you're going to go back and rewrite 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
At 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Literally just mentally drilling it until you can't get it.
Boom. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the... I've never heard someone describe studying jiu-jitsu that way.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like have like make, because the reality is like I love John Danaher instructionals, but brother, it is a lot, man. It is a lot of words. It's a lot of circling back and rehashing the same concept over and over again. And so like watching things on 2 times speed, you literally can do. Yeah. And that totally helps too.
Bro, I can't, I mean, this is because I'm way too ADHD. Normally this is turned off.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at this. My fucking squirrel brain sees my hand moving in that mirror now. And I'm like, oh, look.
I've been struggling.
Dude, I know.
Yeah.
Dude, it happens normally I ask Kashawn to turn it off.
Yeah.
But literally watching something on 1 time speed, I'm like, I can't do that. Bro, listening to an audiobook on 1 time speed, bro, I think right now my Audible is set to like 1.3, if I had to guess.
I
Just
can't
it's
do
like,
Audible.
Really?
I can't do it, man. I have to be holding the book in my hand.
Dude, I'm like, I'm never going to do that. Because the last thing I want to do after training or like at 9 o'clock at night is sit
when
down
you're driving home. See, I'm a podcast guy though.
I'm on 1.5. I'm on 1.5 speed on Audible right now.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I'm like, all right, I don't want to sit here and listen to this fucker read
What
slow.
are you listening to? What do you read? I love reading too. We don't really talk. I mean, we do talk about books sometimes, I feel
randomly.
Like, yeah.
The last book that I read, well, the one I'm listening to right now is about the Crusades.
Okay, which one?
It's literally a
comprehensive
history going back to whatever
cool.
King Baldwin in like 1098, I think.
There we go.
I listened to, let's see, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. That's a really dark book.
Okay.
After that, what did I just listen to?
I've been really enjoying reading recently. I've been like trying to get back into it.
Empire of the Summer Moon. You know what that?
Yeah.
Do you read that?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that is some dark shit.
Yeah, it's some heavy reading.
The thing that, like, no one ever talks about the shit the Indians were doing. Like, I'm not saying whatever the fuck happened, but it's like, bro, you listen to how Indians tortured people. And
you know what
like,
they used to call the Comanches,
sadistic,
right?
what?
You know the Cossacks of the plain.
Okay.
And you know who the Cossacks are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tracks. What do you read? What's the last book? What do you read now?
So I've been like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I used to be like really into like, I would read like, you know, historical like stuff about like, you know, different, you know, I like Napoleonic era. But I love reading classics, and I could catch some flack.
Fucking theater kid, dude.
I could catch some flack for this, dude. My favorite book of all time is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And you can roll your eyes, whatever. Like, I love books like that. I love like War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Like, I know that's like such like that's like the quintessential, like, oh my gosh, this guy's like he thinks he's an intellectual, whatever. But I love reading like
that's cool though.
Classic books like that. I love reading C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
I love reading C.S. Lewis. One of my favorite books is the Screw Tape Letters. Which is literally a series of letters written between 2 demons. One of them is a senior demon and one of them is a younger demon in training who's like going through university. And it's basically the older demon giving advice to the younger demon about how to ensnare man. So every person is assigned a demon at birth, that their whole goal is just to bring them away from God and get them to go to hell. Simply put. And so it's just all the different ways that you can corrupt a man and ensnare him.
What's the most creative that you thought?
I mean, there's one that he talks about where it's like sowing doubt in his relationships so that he becomes like more isolated and alone. I mean, lust is one that they touch on a lot in that book. It's like the easiest way. Yeah. It's really interesting the way the book ends because the guy is like having a near-death experience and he accidentally sees the demon, like, and it's very interesting the way the book is written, because it's like where society was at the time. Like it's not going to be like as overly graphic as it probably would be nowadays, but it's like a lot of very deep like psychological manipulation about, it's just a lot of stuff about making people feel alone, to be honest with you.
Isolating people.
Yeah. And sowing doubt in their minds about like other people are against them. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that book's really
paranoid.
Good. Yeah, I just love C.S. Lewis in general. He's very good. Till We Have Faces is another good one. It's a retelling of the myth of Eros and Psyche from the perspective of Psyche's older sister.
I don't know anything about this story, so you're gonna have to explain.
It's really good. And I've also recently I've been getting into like sci-fi and fantasy. So like Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
Okay.
This book series, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, is one of the darkest book series that I have ever written, but it is one of the most epic tales of like a warrior I've ever read.
Interesting.
Like I read it before I compete sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. Like it is insane. It's basically all about like there's this society of people, and it's all stratified by like color, and your color is like, it goes to like your job in society. So
it's like a caste system.
Exactly. Literally above everyone is the golds.
Okay.
Right. And they're kind of like the ruling class. They have like these cybernetic enhancements. They're extremely strong. They're extremely powerful. Like they're named after gods, literally. And then there's also this class called the Reds, and they're the mining class. And so you follow this character named Darrow, who basically is like enlisted by this black ops squad to become a gold. So they like go in and they get like do surgery on him and like turn him into a gold. And it's all about, he becomes a gold. He goes to their military school, becomes like the highest of the highest. And it's all about him grappling with like, am I gold? Am I a red? Like I have the power to save all of these people, but I also am now accepted. It's just insane. The characters, everything. But like to be honest with you, before I met Miriam, I never read like sci-fi and like deep like fantasy books. Like I just wasn't into that. Now I've been reading them, dude, it's just so fun. It's just such a good escape, specifically with everything that's like going on in our world right now. Sometimes it's good to just read a book.
The last sci-fi book I listened to was Ready Player One, which just made everything worse. I was like listening to it and I was like, God damn it. And like
that movie was so good too. But yeah, that book is so trippy because it's like you would have no way of knowing.
Bro, you're sitting there and you're reading it and you're like, oh, I can see all of this happening. It seems like we're on a collision course for Ready Player One.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
I've never actually seen the movie. I've never seen, I don't watch movies at all.
Okay.
Dan gives me shit all the time. He's like, you were the least cultured man on the planet.
He's a classic film guy. He's got good taste in movies.
He does. He does.
Or he would say films probably.
Cinema.
Cinema. There we go. But yeah, that one was really good. I love film and in like reading as like inspiration for jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. It sounds corny, but like when I go onto those mats, like I'm Paul Atreides fighting Fade Rotha at the end of Dune. I'm Luke Skywalker battling Darth Vader. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is that your mentality when you're going out to compete?
Yes, 100%. Like, it's like, competing is like, it's the epitome of like everything like that you dream of, like when you're a little boy reading stories about like knights fighting in battle and like jousting each other in a tournament. Like it's the epitome of that. I get to do that. You know, I get to be, the gladiator.
Hell yeah.
That is, we're
gonna fucking pop this guy
let's
or
go.
not.
Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
I wish you would have popped that one dude, the guy that you fought at Enigma.
Dude, oh my gosh. That's the thing, man. Okay. People need to start tapping to leg locks. And I maybe I just need to rip them faster, but there's so many people that are just willing to take damage.
Just be a demon.
For a plastic medal and no pay.
You want to be a fucking hero.
You
gotta fucking create a villain. You gotta send that fucker to the hospital. Hey, sorry, champ. You ain't gonna walk the next 2 months. It's nothing personal.
No, on Atlanta Submission League, I am I'm not. The past couple competition outings that I've had have not been like the best. Just honestly, like the way I've competed has not been like to the standard that I hold for myself, and I'm really excited for this weekend because like I've been a lot more devoted to myself as a competitor. I was working a lot of jobs before, like as a teacher, I was teaching at so many different places that I was kind of focusing too much on other people's journey. And now that I'm really just focusing on Odyssey and, you know, my journey, I just feel so much more focused and so much more prepared because it's like there's balance again. Before there was kind of a lack of balance. I was doing too much teaching and not enough learning.
Okay. So this Atlanta submission series, it's a quartet style sub only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. It's at ATT. What time?
So I think it's I
want to go to this if I can.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what time it's going to start, but I feel like it's going to be an afternoon type thing. And it's 3 weekends in a row.
Damn.
League format.
Wait, so
we're gonna
literally you go this Saturday, next Saturday, 2 Saturdays from now, back to back to back.
Yeah.
How many teams are there? There's Odyssey and
I think there's at least I know for sure there's one more that's like Octopus guys, but I'm pretty sure there's some other teams that are like made up of like free agents that are going to be like registering.
Do you know who you're going against Saturday?
No. But I'm going to be honest with you. My goal is to take out a whole team by myself at least one of the weekends. So
go out there and just fucking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, that'll fucking be.
Yeah. No, you heard it here first, folks. I'm going through a whole team.
We're going to fucking clip that. If you can, if you pull this off, we're going to clip that and use that as the fucking audio just over 4 consecutive highlights of you grabbing all the fucking outside heel hooks.
That's the plan. That's fucking crazy. My team is so good. Like, I got Eldon.
Is there like a weight limit on this? Like, what's the
175-pound average?
The only person that's over 175 on that team is Eldon, no?
Exactly. And Brady's so far under that it makes up for it.
I was going to say, Austin's right at 175 probably.
And Austin's probably going to get a little bit of extra weight because I'm low.
I was going to say, you're what, 160-something?
Not anymore.
Boy's been eating.
Yeah, exactly. I've been eating
too
good.
Much pasta and red wine.
Yeah, couscous. So I'm around like 174 right now. But I was like, I mean, when I was at the beach, drinking gin and tonic every day and eating good seafood and stuff like that, I was probably like 183.
Fat ass.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the goal for me is, I need to gain weight because, you know.
I can make that happen.
Yeah. I'm 6'1". I was sitting next to Paul Ardea and like, we're like the same height and he's like Superman.
Yeah. He's fucking jacked.
And I'm like Rick from Rick and Morty. And so it's like, we gotta.
Didn't you say you used to lift a lot?
Dude, I used to be like over 200 pounds. I was a little fat.
Okay.
In high school. And then show choir made me lose all the weight because it is.
How much weight did you lose doing show choir?
10 pounds, 15 pounds.
You lost 15 pounds doing show choir.
Yeah.
That's a fucking diet right there, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's nothing compared to the stomach virus I got in college. And when I went to college, I was like 190. And then when I came home after that first semester, I was like 161. I lost all that weight, which was crazy. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college, Kennesaw?
I went to Valdosta State for a year.
I did not know that.
Like a half a year. And then I had to come home and get my stomach stuff figured out.
God damn.
But yeah. Crazy. There's just been something every year, man. Because like I was doing great, and then that car accident happened, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, if I hadn't come home from that, I wouldn't be at Odyssey doing jiu-jitsu the way I've been doing it. So
that's crazy.
Happens for a reason.
Were you training in Valdosta?
I went to the top team down there a couple of times. There's some good guys down there, but I didn't like train consistently or anything like that. I would just like leg lock my friends in the dorms every once in a while when they got a little drunk and wanted to, fight or whatever.
Yeah. I think I choked a dude out in Auburn, actually at our fraternity
Everyone
house.
wants to, like, they don't trust that the choke works. Like, the amount of videos that I see of people like, I can last 15 seconds in a rear naked choke. It's like, this is not an opinion thing. This works.
This is a biology.
Yeah.
There's no more blood going to your brain.
Biomechanics, my friend. You cannot survive without blood going to your brain. So.
Dude, I forget who it was. I think it might have been Keelan. Like, I trained for jiu-jitsu for like 3 months in Auburn. and I got my shoulder blown out. Dude, a guy tried to do a triangle from side control, caught it wrong.
And your shoulder was like...
And he squeezed, and my shoulder popped.
It happened, yeah.
But I think I was like 2 months in, and we were drunk at our house, like fucking around, and I forget I think it was Speed. And it could have been someone else, and he was like fucking around, and I just like grabbed a guillotine, and I was like, dude, like you gotta stop. Like you gotta stop.
Gotta stop.
And then I let go, and he was like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, bro, like strangles work.
Yeah. It's insane. I remember one time, so the only time I've ever been put unconscious at Odyssey was by Amon. We were rolling in the gi. And so first of all, I love training with Amon because Amon is like a master of movement. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I'm going with him, it's like a really flowy vibe. Like it's not necessarily flow rolling, but it is like very like flowy the way that we're rolling with each other. He put me in a bow and arrow choke, and it literally didn't feel tight. I just kind of like relaxed or whatever. I was like, I'm fine. I literally but it was so gentle. Like it was crazy.
Both times I've gone out have been the exact same way.
And that's the nice thing about jiu-jitsu. I tell people this all the time. It's like, if you want to do a martial art and you want to train hard as fuck, that's what you want to do, you got to do jiu-jitsu. Because if you're going to box every day, if you're going to spar every day, good luck trying to talk to your grandchildren when you're 50. Good luck.
I watched a video of Chuck Liddell yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a video of him doing an interview 20 years ago and a video of him doing an interview this year. Dude, him 20 years ago, it's coherent. You understand what he's saying. It all makes sense. Sad. Bro, the video of him doing the interview this year, you're listening to him talk and you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like it's not English.
Yeah, it's what's it worth to you, Dallas? What's it worth to you?
I'm not taking fucking brain damage. Dude, like
right? That's your identity. That's who you are.
My paternal grandmother had dementia really bad. Towards the end of her life, I would go down to see her, actually in Tifton, right up the road from Valdosta. And we walked into her room one time, and she had no clue who my dad was. She was like sitting there looking at my dad, like kind of confused. And my dad would be like, hey, Mom, like whatever. And like eventually she would like warm up. But I was like, that is an insane thing that you're sitting there and you're not really sure who your child is. And that's
the human brain is so crazy.
I saw some shit where they were saying that they think dementia and Alzheimer's is actually type 3 diabetes. They think it's actually, and apparently we're one of the few countries that still calls it Alzheimer's dementia.
Cholesterol. Yeah, I've seen that.
A lot of other countries.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah.
But the brain damage thing ain't worth it. Like I want to learn how to box. Like I want to learn how to strike. I'm going to take those Muay Thai classes that Steve's going to teach. Like I want to learn how to crack.
Amazing. Yeah.
But taking serious brain damage and not being able to think straight and being punch drunk when I'm 40 something years old.
I got kneed in the liver my first time doing Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is enough. I'm good. I'm done doing this.
I remember getting leg kicked I trained at Striker up in for like a couple months. I got leg kicked with shin pads, not hard. And I was like, that's how that feels. No. Fuck this.
Yeah, no.
This is for the birds. But
no.
You're not going to take no brain damage? You don't want to get kicked in the head?
Dude, hell no. Are you kidding me? You have to take so much brain damage just to make enough money to where it like semi becomes like maybe worth it. Like if you want to make it to the UFC, you better be
not getting hit.
Yeah, and you better be exactly. You know?
Dude, I was talking with Reese before our podcast or after our podcast.
He's a savage, dude.
Bro, that guy.
He's a savage. That's a bad man right there, guys. Reese Watkins, if you don't know him yet, you will.
Dude,
you will.
We were sitting here talking, and it was like we started talking about, I said something about, like, what's it feel like when you land something clean? And it was like his fucking eyes, like, lit up about, like, fucking someone
I'm not going to lie. I've thought about that. Like, what it feels like to just elbow the crap out of someone like he does. Because he loves those elbows. He throws those elbows.
Watching his ground and pound is fucking horrifying.
He reminds me of Matt Brown.
Yeah, a lot.
Like he's more athletic. He probably's got better grappling than Mike Brown does. But like like Mike Brown's like elbow that he did against Diego Sanchez.
Horrifying. But dude, I was talking to Reese about like what NFC pay is, and I'm like, dude, he's the fucking like poster child basically of NFC right now because he's won however many times. Like he's fucking killing it, trying to fucking get into the UFC, and you're still not getting paid.
And running a successful defense meme account on Instagram. Definitely check that out if you haven't. It is high quality.
I didn't know that he had a meme account.
Oh, bro, he's like not leaked stuff, but like there's been stuff with the war in Ukraine that like he's put on his Twitter and stuff, and people are like,
whoa, what is this? What is this account? I need to know this.
La Defensa de Ganso, the defense goose in Spanish. I love this account. What? It is awesome. Oh, bro, it is well worth your follow. Well worth your follow. He knows his shit. He knows his like very well versed in military. It's on Twitter history.
Or is it on
Instagram? It's on Instagram.
La Defensa.
Yeah.
I gotta find this shit. I did not know that this was a thing.
Yeah, here we go.
Please send this to me.
La Ganso. Yeah, La Ganso de Defensa, I think, is what it's called. I'm going to find it real quick for you.
I have to know.
Yep. Man, it's not... I saw it for a second, and now it's...
This is going to hurt my soul if we can't find this.
Yeah, you're good. I'm going to find it for you. Don't worry.
La Defensa. Sorry to anyone listening.
Yeah, they'll be all right. Once we find
this will be well worth it
if
you get to find Baby Goose's defense account.
Dang, why is it not showing up right now?
I think you're lying to me, Campbell.
No, I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying to you because I've been a
snake oil salesman.
Listen, that's me. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work.
Dude, your handle's fucking hilarious.
Dude, Austin came up with that.
Really?
Yeah, Austin came up with that. Credit Austin Saxon for coming up with that name. It's on there. I'm going to send you some of his memes when I find it.
I've only seen like Evil Baby Goose or whatever.
No. This one is literally just like stuff about like current event, like military stuff. Like he's got some historical stuff about like tanks and stuff like in World War I and World War II. What the fuck,
Reese? We should have talked about this shit.
No, he's like, like I'm telling you, like extremely well versed. Like it's crazy because it's like the duality of man. It's like he's swinger gets swung in the cage, and then he's like this philosophical like defense meme maker / Lego collector.
Yes, that brings me to something. Whenever I explain to people that I do jujitsu, they always look at me like it's some sort of barbaric, just brute force, whatever. And it's like, what you guys don't understand, without being a fucking jujitsu dick rider, is there's at the highest level of anything, the physical side of it is not the difficult part. No. It's the mental, okay, I'm going to beat you to the bottom of this rabbit hole where it's like, I'm going to, go down this chain of this sequence and I'm going to get to the bottom before you, stop you from doing the last defense. And now I'm going to tap you with an armbar. And it's like, you try and explain that to people and they're like, huh? Or you try and explain that there's a mental component to striking. And most people sit there and think about it and they're like, what are you talking about? They're just hitting each other in the face. It's like, well, yeah, but if I know you're going to try and hit me in the face, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to try and move my head. Okay. Like, and I've never understood where people are like, oh, it's just fucking barbaric. It's like, you're an idiot.
Well, I just don't know like how many things people come into contact with. And the reality is there are people that are willing to go through their whole life just being okay at something. But the other thing is like the depth of knowledge in a lot of these martial arts is something that people just don't really come into contact with. Like the skill gap in jiu-jitsu is so large.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many different things that you can do like in it. And so I think like whenever people see any martial art, like they just equate like, what they've seen in pop culture,
That, or they're like, oh, well, my nephew, he's a black belt in Taekwondo. And it's like, cool, I'll strangle Timmy.
How much did he pay for his Taekwondo? I'm kidding. If you do Taekwondo, that's awesome. It's a historic martial arts.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Yes.
Except you, Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah,
Don't kill me.
Yeah.
I think he did what? Karate. No, he did karate.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's McDojos.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's like really like, I mean, it is funny, but like that would really suck. Like thinking, like going into a place.
You were talking about kids not asking
yeah,
why. The parents don't know the questions
and
to ask.
Also parents, I'm not going to name names at any jiu-jitsu program, but if you
Cameras, right.
if you take your child to a program where they either allow the kids to bully each other or the coaches engage in some sick and twisted version of psychological conditioning onto the kids, you need to get them out of there right away. Because not everyone is here for the right reasons. Some people just want to make money. And if you are not engaged in your children's growth, if you haven't been to their jiu-jitsu class in a while, if you haven't sat in, I would highly recommend you do so, just so that you make sure that they are in the right place. Because I've been hearing horror stories about places where the way the kids interact with each other and the way that the coaches interact with the kids, not even in a weird way, just about like bullying and stuff like that. Like it's very important that you care for your kids and you do the proper research.
How fucked up of an adult you got to be to bully a child?
It makes me so mad.
Actually, I take that back. I bully my nieces a little bit.
Okay, so that's different. If they're related to you,
yeah.
Totally. I mean, I'm a younger brother. I've got 2 younger brothers, so.
Yeah, your younger brother. When are they going to come train?
Dude, so that's the thing is they would be, so Landon is my second oldest, so he's like the one below me. And he's like a freak athlete. Like he got scouted for the pre-DA in soccer, which is the Olympic Development Academy. Like he was doing all that stuff. And then was just like, nah, I'm good. So, but has like the mindset and like the athletic ability to like, but he wants to do like boxing.
What do you want to get hit in that for?
Exactly. I'm
you
like,
want brain damage, dog?
I don't know. And then Lawson, my youngest brother, has told me that he will start training jiu-jitsu when I open up my own gym. He will be my first.
That's fucking gay.
Yeah. I mean, I think he should start training earlier too, but
that's stupid.
I do enjoy the sentiment a little bit. Yeah. It's kind of cool. But yeah,
damn,
they're not really interested in it.
That's surprising. I feel like that would be like a.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been hyper competitive. I think I also kind of drove them away from it a little bit because, like, when I was a little kid, like I was always like a really physical kid. Like I would just like shove people, grab them, tackle them down to the ground, whatever. Because I was just like, just what I did. Yeah. You know, I didn't know what like Oklahoma drills were, but you were doing me and my brothers, drills. Like in our attic, we would call it ready, set, hut, and basically we would just like face each other. Say ready, set, hut, and then just run into each other as fast. You know what I'm saying? So like, but I was always bigger than them, and I would always, you know,
yeah, you were the oldest brother, so you were the biggest,
so,
and it was
you know,
easy.
Now they're kind of just, you know, they want to stay away from that. Maybe I don't know, but
you ruined them.
It's funny, yeah,
absolutely ruined them. But well, this was fucking fun, dude.
Yeah,
this has
awesome,
been like an hour and 35 minutes.
Great, I love it.
I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be here. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome.
What we were talking about before the camera.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay away from having those opinions on the internet.
And the thing is like I feel like regardless of what you say, like anyone's really gonna have anyone's gonna have an issue with it.
Someone's gonna be fucked up about it.
Exactly. I'm just about bringing people together, man. It's
very culty of you. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're starting a cult. Dan and I are gonna start a cult. You're welcome to join.
Yeah,
I feel like you would fit in well.
Ooh,
we're not about any of that.
Who's leading it? You or Dan?
Me.
Really?
Me.
That's what Dan wants you to think.
That's what I said. Maybe that's psychological warfare. But all right, dog. This was fun as shit.
So fun.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Brother. Yep.